The strongest storm to ever hit the Bahamas, the strongest storm on the planet this year. This is what those superlatives look like up close. This business, apparently, in those 180-mile-per-hour winds, just collapsed onto itself. You could see a counter here, but what this was really isn't decipherable by what's left here. But let me take you to this side, because the only thing that's left here are stairs and the beginnings of a porch. I can't even tell what was here. Those winds were so strong. For 9 hours, from one point where the eye of Dorian approached to Abacos, came on land to the time the other side of the eye exited, it was 9 hours those winds were here, with gusts up to 225 miles per hour. As far as you can see from Marsh Harbour, there is damage. This area is decimated, and it will take a very long time to rebuild. The scale here is unimaginable. I mean, when we flew over and landed several times on Abacos and there in Marsh Harbour, it's not a very large island, but as it stretched on and on, you saw just how much work ahead there is, not only to rebuild, but to find those potentially in what's left. What many people do not get an appreciation for on camera, a screen, a television screen, your cell phone, you're watching the video, is the depth, the height of these piles of rubble. In there you've got just boards of just some lumber and building materials, but also containers from the port tossed in. So imagine the care it will take to lift these huge containers, but still respect that there might be some bodies there as well, and do that carefully. Listen, let me tell you what's going to start right after sunrise. If today is like every other day this week, that those rescue flights from choppers, the U.S. Coast Guard, planes that have been chartered, others, boats as well, they will try to go back to Abacos, a 90-minute flight by chopper, round trip, and bring people here. The headline of the local paper, of those people waiting, sums it up. The Guardian: we've had enough. Hundreds of people we saw were there, crowded at the edges of tarmacs at Marsh Harbour Airport and Treasure Key Airport. We spoke with one boy who was there at Marsh Harbour, 14 years old. His name is Sharon Rolle. He was there with his family, had been there all day. The temperature in the high 80s, feels like 98 degrees. And he tells us what he experienced sitting in with his family in a small room as the hurricane came ashore.
My nephew's mom died with a baby because she was trying to go back in the house to get the bag for the baby, but then when the water hit her, she just gone with the baby. Miss home, but I feel kind of, I don't know, probably worried, because I ain't hear a lot from my family members.
Who haven't you heard from?
Some of my cousins, some of my sister, she's in the United States, but she's okay. But my dad is in here. He's on vacation, and he can't come back because the planes haven't been traveling a lot. So I ain't heard from cousins, aunts, a lot of people.
Listen, the Bahamian people are resilient, but there is an exhaustion here, and you could feel that in my conversation with Velson. And there are a lot of people here who are waiting to hear from loved ones. They want some confirmation that they are safe, that they are in some place of comfort. When we landed at Marsh Harbour, there was a family of 4, the Moreaus. They were trying to be evacuated, but there was not enough room for all 4 on one chopper. So my crew and I, we invited 14-year-old Malik Moreau and 21-year-old Kendley Victor. Today is actually his 22nd birthday, to board our chopper flight. Now, this had been the first time they'd seen the scope once we lifted off the ground. Remember, they have no access to television because the power's out, cell phone service is bad, no internet available for most people. So as we took off, Kendley looked out the window and just shook his head. I mean, as he saw just how much had been damaged and to the extent, he couldn't believe it. And I wanted to ask him about what he experienced as the storm hit, and he immediately said, "I don't want to talk about it." So I backed off and we were silent. About 15 to 20 seconds later, he said, "Because when people ask me about it, I feel like it's a nightmare and I can't wake up." And he also told us that he had not slept since he came out after the storm was over, but he did get some sleep on that flight. They are now both The Moreau family and Kenley Victor, they're now here in Nassau with family. But that's the story of so many people. As you reported, the UN reporting that 70,000 people have lost their homes on Grand Bahama and on Abaco. The local paper reporting that the Prime Minister says there's no way that Nassau can absorb 70,000 people. The question is, what happens next? How many people, even after Abaco is rebuilt, after Grand Bahama is rebuilt, will go back? A long recovery for the Bahamas.